All right. Good morning, everybody. I think we are on time here. It's 9 a.m. CET, and it's good to be back here with a new meetup with you guys. And to be honest, it's been too long since we've done a meetup like this. So we will definitely try to keep up in the future and do some more meetup like this. But welcome. My name is Morten Pedholt, and I'm part of the Windows 365 community. And this is today's agenda. And we have Dominic and Sune here that will do some awesome session. Dominic will talk about Windows 365 on the front line, and Sune will be going deep dive in some features. But first, I'd just like to explain a little bit about who we are as a community, and then I would just briefly go over some of the latest news that just arrived at Windows 365. So, first of all, who are the Windows 365 community? Well, we are a bunch of guys and girls as well, and we actually just got a new member here just a couple of days ago. I actually think it's like 2 weeks. A name called John Towles, and John is doing an amazing job so far. He's a Microsoft MVP. He's really passionate about Windows 365 like the rest of us. So he just fits very well into the group, and very welcome to you, John. And you're doing an amazing job. Just keep going. So, what do we do as a community? Um, as I said, we are very passionate about Windows 365, and what we really want to do is to deliver news to you guys. So we are doing weekly newsletters, catching up on everything that happened in the week with community work like blog posts, videos, latest announcements from Microsoft, and etc. And then we also do some general knowledge sharing with blog posting, attending other communities, and stuff like that. And then we have these user group events. And these user group events, we have three of them, one in, I would say, each area in the world, USA, Asia, and EMEA. So we are pretty good covered there to do events. But there's one more thing that I'm really excited to show you or share here that we've been working quite a while now to get this up and running. And we are now ready to tell you that we are launching a new YouTube series called Windows 365 Hands-On. And we have put many thoughts into this series here because we really want to get our hands really dirty. We really want to get to configure Windows 365. We like to talk about Windows 365, but we definitely want to configure it as well. And we want to show you guys how to do it. And one of the most important things that we will have experienced people with us doing the videos, that they will bring live scenario that you may be get inspiring to do, or you might relate to it. So we have this first episode up and running today. Actually, it just went live 30 minutes ago. So after the event, please go into our YouTube channel and check it out. It's really awesome, and we have a lot more episodes coming up with a lot of great stuff from Microsoft MVPs, Microsoft employees, and just IT expert in overall. So it's really nice. You are able to stay in touch with us in different social media platforms, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and our website. If you would like to contribute something, if you want to share something in a user group event like this, or you want to do a YouTube video to share some news that you have or some experiences, please feel free to reach out to any of the members here or just ping us on any social media and we will reach out to you. Now, I would just briefly touch upon the latest news and update that has been since our last meetup. And our last meetup was in about, I think it was in May or something, March, something like that. So first of all, I just want to briefly say that we have some products now that gone from preview to GA. And why is this important to mention? It's actually a big thing for a lot of customers in the world that they will not use preview products because they are not officially supported. There might be bugs in them, there might be bugs in them even though it's GA, right? But now it's officially supported. You can go out to your customer, or if you're a customer yourself, you can go in and grab this feature here. One thing I actually noticed, and I didn't know that was a preview, but that was actually the resize feature. That's been with us the whole journey since the launch of Windows 365. It's now just came out of preview. But it's a really nice feature, and also now is supporting group-based licenses resize. So definitely a worth checking out. And one funny thing here is that I saw this provide feedback is now out of preview, and I was like, where is this provide feedback button? But it's actually inside of the Windows 365 administrative panel. So if you go in to Microsoft Intune under Windows 365, go under all your cloud PCs, you actually have a provide feedback button right there. And that is for IT admins that want to provide feedback about the admin experience. Yeah, it's a cool little thing. So what are the latest news? And this is actually some of the news that just came out yesterday to the public, and there's actually some pretty interesting parts here. So to just quickly touch upon the first one here, export audit logs. If you're exporting your Intune audit logs already to a log analytics or event hub to trigger something, you're now also able to do with Windows 365 audit logs. This was actually a bit of a hurdle for some of my customers who are trying to do like some custom reporting from their Intune environment. But now that is also possible. And we now got some new SKUs. I mean, that's awesome. We got 16 CPUs, 46 gigs of RAM, and up to 1 TB of memory. Sorry, not memory, hard drive, disk space. So that is really cool. And I mean, the more options we have, the better, I think. The only thing I'm missing here is like, where's GPU? But yeah, maybe we'll see that in future. Maybe we'll not. I mean, GPU is a big request for some of my customers. So I really hope that we will, I don't know, see that in the future sometime. And the gallery images also got an update here. So we have 23H2 is now live in the portal, and you can just go in, you can take your existing provisioning policy, you can update it to keep your cloud PC up to date all the time with the latest version on your Windows. It's really cool. And plus, you also get the AI stuff, right? So Copilot, I have to mention it, maybe. Some people care about it, but you can go in and grab that today. Now, this part here is actually the thing I'm most excited about, but that's because I love automating. So there's a new Graph API for Frontline licenses, and I'm sure that Sune or Dominic will explain you more about Frontline. I won't go deep into that, but what I would say is that if you're doing some kind of automation around your existing Windows 365 environment, one of the hurdles has been, well, we have adopted into Frontline, and we're also using enterprise licenses, but we are not able to utilize the same automation around our Frontline or create new automation around our Frontline cloud PCs. And that is now possible. And I just quickly looked through this documentation here yesterday because it was just released there, and there's actually some really useful Graph API there. I think the one that I have here on the screen is for powering on, and you also have something for powering off. So you can imagine creating some kind of automated workflow around that. And the last thing I just want to mention here is that if you're using the forensic feature in Windows 365 where you can place a cloud PC on the review, the permissions has been updated. The permission requirement has been updated. And this means that you actually have to go into your Azure storage account, update it with storage blob data contributor. Before it was only storage account contributor. I'm not quite sure why they're making this change here, but it's just something to be aware of if you're using that feature. If you have people in your organization where you kind of have a workflow ready for you to use, maybe go in and update it and make sure that you're still able to use this feature here by updating it. Cool. One last thing, and then I will leave it over to Dominic here, is that Microsoft Ignite is coming up. And it's going from November 15 to 16 if you're attending online. If you're attending in person, I think there's 2 extra days. Now, I will be there in person, and we will have a bunch of people here from our community attending online. And we will grab all the Windows 365 content there is So if you, for some reason, are not able to stay up to date with all the latest Windows 365 update news on Microsoft Ignite, if there will be any, I really hope so, we will do a recap after the event to take the best pieces, or not just the best pieces, but all the pieces, and talk about them with a bunch of people and share our thoughts and our vision of the upcoming features, if there's any. So that was it for me, and I don't want to take too much of the time here. So let's just give it over to Dominic. We'll be talking about Windows 365 in the Frontline.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Morten. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'll just share my screen real quickly. Let me know if the... Awesome. Can you everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you, Morten, for the quick introduction and all the latest and greatest that is out for Windows 365. This presentation of mine is dedicated to Windows 365 Frontline. And I was talking with Sune just yesterday, and I noticed that he has a lot of great demos set up for you. So it was up to me to provide you with millions and millions of slides to balance out all the cool demos that he will actually perform for you. But the downside is of having a lot of slides that there probably won't be a lot of time for questions. So my question to everyone in the meeting would be, if there is any question, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat, and I'm sure the team will actually pick them up. And if not, I'll get back to that at the end of the presentation. So thanks to the team for having me. And just let's see what I have in store for you. Just before we start, a quick introduction about myself. My name is Dominiek Verham. I'm 40 years already, and I live in the Netherlands. In my spare time, I just love watching Formula One, fill around with gadgets. I work as a senior consultant for Next, which is a tech company in the Netherlands. And I usually keep busy with all things related to Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, Intune, a little bit of Nerdio, and Remove 3. Since 2022, I'm very honored to be able to call myself a Windows 365 MVP and a Nerdio MVP. And for me, this is actually the first time that I'll be speaking at the Windows 365 user group. So very happy about that one. If you want to follow me or just catch up or shoot me a message, you can do so on my socials. Mostly I'm active on LinkedIn, also a little bit on Twitter or X, what it's called lately. I do have a personal blog site, which is TechLab, and you can find me on the Clouds Experts community as well. But of course, that's not what you're here for. You are here for the good stuff. And let's see what this presentation is actually all about. Well, first off, I thought it was a good idea to start off with a recap on all the additions that Windows 365 has. So where does Frontline come in, and what can it do for you? Then I'll be moving on with a bit of licensing and how to configure Windows 365 Frontline, as well as the reporting options that CloudPC has, and of course the Windows 365 specific reporting options that are out there. Then I'll continue on with some use cases. I'll touch on how to combine Windows 365 boot with Windows 365 Frontline. There are a couple of demos that I do want to show you. Of course, the user experience, if you're going to use a Frontline Cloud PC just by using the Windows 365 app, or from a boot-enabled endpoint. And then I'll finish up with a little look into the future, what is yet to come, and I'll include some useful links, which is especially useful when the slides will be shared later on. So let's dive into it. The Windows 365 editions, I mentioned 3 here, but of course there are 4, which is Business, Enterprise, Frontline, and Government. But I won't touch the Government edition here. Windows 365 Business, as you might know, it's actually intended for smaller companies who just want a cloud PC running in the cloud, accessible from anywhere, always available to you. that would actually be the way to go for a business cloud PC. It's super easy to configure. All you need to do is go to Windows365.microsoft.com, and you can actually manage and assign the cloud PCs there. It's also possible to tick a box, and then you'll be able to go to the Microsoft Intune Admin Center and do some administrative tasks there. There are some restrictions for business. As you might know, there are 300 licenses that you use per tenant. You can't connect to an existing corporate network, or you have to install a client VPN in the system. Cloud PCs are actually licensed per user, and they're always online. Quickly moving on to enterprise. Enterprise is basically intended for larger companies, or even if you're a smaller company, but you want to use all the good stuff that Intune can provide for you, Enterprise would still be a very good solution for you. It doesn't have the license cap of 300 licenses that business has, and you can use an Azure network connection and connect to an existing corporate network. Cloud PCs of the enterprise SKU are also licensed per user, and they're always online, just the same as business is. And they also support custom images and support universal print. And then there's the challenger, of course. We also have Windows 365 Frontline. And Frontline is a bit different compared to business and enterprise. And even though it almost has all the capabilities of an enterprise cloud PC, it actually has a different use case. It's intended for frontline or shift workers. And basically the way you would interpret that is if you do not want to license on a per user basis, but if you want to license on a concurrency basis. So if you have perhaps a lot of users, but only a subset of the users log in, well, Frontline is a really cool solution for you. And the way that works is just add a license to your tenant, and you'll actually have access to 3 cloud PCs, and 1 user can sign in at the same time per license. That actually means you'll need to figure out a way and actually ask your users to sign up correctly to free up the license after they're done and have completed their workday. And the big difference is that you will not assign a license to a user directly like you do to business or enterprise. Instead, what you'll do is you create a group, add the users into the group, and licenses are assigned eventually to the users that are a member of that group. Also, a big difference is that cloud PCs will be turned off when they're not in use. And Microsoft actually did a really cool thing there, because what happens is when, for instance, an update is installed, you don't want a user to wait for a cloud PC to boot up, then have to finish up the update that is still waiting. So what Microsoft actually does is they'll reboot the cloud PC once the user signs out. And if that reboot is completed, then it turns off completely, just to optimize the user experience there. All right, I hope that kind of makes sense. And yeah, let's dig into some licensing. And I thought it was just a good idea to start with a slide on how to license Windows 365 Frontline. And what Microsoft will basically tell you is you can add licenses and you get 3 cloud PCs per license. Personally, I think there's just a little bit more work. It's still very easy to do the licensing, but there is a little bit more work to do. And my advice would be just to make a list of all the users that will actually use Windows 365 Frontline, and then determine if they will all use the same SKU. For instance, is there a subset of users that will use 2 vCPU with 8 gigs of memory, and will you have a subset of users that will have 4 vCPU with 16 gigs of memory? Once you got that done, I would advise to determine the maximum number of concurrent sessions and the total number of cloud PCs that you'll need per SKU. And then my advice would again be a license for the highest number. And why is that? I'll try to make that a little bit clearer in a couple of examples that I prepared. So if you're going to compare things with each other, I think it's always a good idea to compare apples with apples. So what I did here was I thought it was a good idea to have a look at Windows 365 Enterprise, and I chose a 4 vCPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of storage, and compare it to a Frontline license, which is also 4 vCPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of storage. As you can see, the prices date back from the 16th of October, and these are just the retail prices that are found on the Microsoft website. So they aren't partner prices or anything like that. As you can see, an enterprise license currently will set you back €66.70 per month per user, and a Frontline license will actually set you back €90.10. I prepared a couple of examples for you. There's a really easy example that is basically what Microsoft always recommends. You know, one license, you get 3 cloud PCs. Then I'll move on to an example about concurrency. What happens if you have more users than concurrency, and what happens when you have a really high concurrency at the same time. And basically, what I'll try to answer here is, does Frontline actually save you money if you compare it to Enterprise? So let's go to the first example. Besides the massively shameful plug from my own website here, I thought it was a good idea to have a look at the easy example. In this case, the tech lab company has 30 users, and they told me only 10 users will sign in at the same time. Again, all the users will get the same SKU, 4 vCPU, 16 gigs of memory, 128 gigs of storage. And for Enterprise, if you were to license for Enterprise, I should say, then each user will need a separate license. So that will actually mean 30 licenses. However, if you were to license for Frontline Cloud PCs, then you need 1 license and it will give you 3 Cloud PCs. We already know from the example that there are 10 concurrent sessions that we need to license for. So for concurrency, we would need 10 licenses. For the maximum amount of Cloud PCs, we know that there are 30 users, so 30 users will need a Cloud PC. And the math here is pretty simple, 30 divided by 3, and that also leads to 10. So highest number wins. We can choose between 10 and 10. So let's go with 10 in this case. What would that be cost-wise? If you look at Enterprise, 30 licenses of €66.70 will actually set you back a little bit over €2,000 per month. For Frontline, it's a little bit different. You need 10 licenses of €90.10, and it will set you back €901 per month. So a little bit of math here, you can actually save €1,100 per month, which is a whopping 54%. So in this use case, if your users are licensed on a concurrency basis, Frontline would actually be a really good option because it will save you a lot of money. So I hope this makes a lot of sense when I explain it like this. I hope so, because there are a couple of other examples coming up. So yeah, second example. In this case, I promised to talk about concurrency. So what I did here was, if you look at the number of users of the company, I upped those numbers a bit. In this case, the Tech Lab company has 500 users, but only 250 users will sign in at the same time. Again, they have the same SKU. So what would happen if you were to license for Windows 365 Enterprise? Well, that would mean you need 500 licenses. For Frontline, we know, based on the concurrency, on the example, we would need 250 licenses. If you were to license for the maximum amount of users, then we know 500 users equals 500 Cloud PCs. We can divide that by 3, and that would actually mean that we would need 167 licenses. So the highest wins, because we want the users to be able to sign in at the same time. So we would need 250 licenses for this example. And cost-wise, it would actually mean for Enterprise that you will need 500 licenses, which will set you back €33,350 per month. And for Frontline, we would need 250 licenses, which will set you back €22,525 per month, which is actually cost savings of €10,000 and €825, which results in a 32% cost savings per month. So again, in this example, it will make a lot of sense if you would go for a Frontline license instead of an Enterprise license. And in the next example, I created this one to show you what happens if you have more users and the need for Cloud PCs than you actually have based on concurrency. So what I did here is I played a little with the numbers. And as you can see, the maximum number of concurrent sessions actually went down from 250 to 150 sessions. And the company still has 500 users. So for Enterprise, nothing really changes. It's still 500 licenses that you'll need. And for Windows 365 Frontline, we know we need 150 licenses based on concurrency needs alone. If you were to look for the maximum number of users, you would actually need 167 licenses. Again, it's the 500, we can divide it by 3, and we end up with 167. So in this case, my advice would always be the highest wins. And the reason is actually pretty simple. If you were to license for 150 licenses based on concurrency, you would actually only get 450 cloud PCs, but your company has 500 users. So what would happen if one of the 50 users would try to sign in, but there's no cloud PC available? Well, of course, they can't sign in because there is no cloud PC. And should you find yourself in a situation like this, Intune will actually help you determine which users have a cloud PC and which users do not have a cloud PC. So if you go to the Intune Admin Center, you can actually get a tab with members that will receive a cloud PC and members that who do not get a cloud PC. Basically, that's all there is that you can do to tweak it. There's no option for us as an admin to determine, for instance, if Frontline user 10 should have a cloud PC or shouldn't. And that's all because it's group-based. There's nothing. There are no tools there that we can use. The only thing that we can do is to remove Frontline user 10 from the group, which assigns the cloud PCs, and then the user will be removed and the cloud PC will be removed. That's the only thing that we have. And cost-wise, what would that look like? Well, for enterprise, we still need 500 licenses. The amount stays the same, nothing changed there. And for Frontline, we would license for 167 licenses. It'll cost us 15,046 euros and 70 cents. And it'll actually save a lot of money on license per month, a little bit more, over 18,300 euros, which also results in 54% on cost savings. So again, for this example, it would make a lot of sense to go for Frontline instead of Enterprise. And of course, I can already hear you thinking through the internet, Dominic, Frontline is awesome. We're going to use Frontline for every scenario because then we'll save a lot of money and we can do other cool stuff with that. Well, you would be partly correct, but partly is the main thing to focus on. Because, of course, Frontline isn't the way to go in every scenario. And I'll try to highlight this on a high concurrency use case right here. So it's an example, so why not go all out? So in this case, I basically said to myself, okay, TechLab now has 500 users, but they all sign in at the same time. And immediately you can feel the idea like this is not going to work. And you would be very correct in this case. Because Windows 365 Enterprise will still cost you, set you back 500 licenses, and Windows 365 Frontline, in this case, will also need 500 licenses. It will give you a very huge amount of cloud PCs, but you would only need the 500 licenses for concurrency. So it's basically 500 for both. And for Enterprise, again, nothing changes. It's still the same amount of 33,350 euros per month. And for Frontline, it will cost you 45,050 euros per month. So in this case, if you have a high concurrency, it would actually make a lot of sense to do the math and see if you're not going to spend more if you would use a Frontline Cloud PC. As you can see, in this case, we do not have a cost savings. We will actually pay more, 11,700 euros, and that will result in a 35% cost increase. So I hope these examples make a lot of sense on how to license Windows 365 Frontline. And I'll finish up the licensing section of this presentation with a bit of requirements and a bit of information regarding licensing. As we all know now, Windows 365 Frontline license will actually give you 3 cloud PCs and it will allow 1 connection at the same time. It does not include licensing for other Microsoft 365 services. You will actually need a separate license for that. Basically, these are the same for Enterprise as well. So before you can use Windows 365 Frontline and Enterprise, you would also need a couple of other requirements to be met on a user basis. They are a Windows 10 or 11 enterprise license, as you can see, an Intune license, Entra ID P1 license. But again, if you're using Microsoft 365 services, chances are that you already licensed users for these licensing requirements, because they're included in most of the well-known other licenses. For instance, the Microsoft 365 E3 or higher, A3 or higher, Business Premium also has you covered. So yeah, it's good to be aware of that. And again, companies can mix and match Windows 365 Enterprise and Frontline as well. For instance, if you have a situation of a customer of you is a healthcare customer, they have a couple of doctors who need to be able to sign in at their cloud PC at any given time, shouldn't have to wait even if all licenses are consumed. Enterprise would really be the way to go, and even back office or frontline workers, shift workers can actually go for Frontline. So feel free to mix and match. It's fully supported there. So yeah, that's all there is on licensing. And let's continue on with configuring Frontline. And the cool thing is, it's really easy to configure. Kind of made a joke here, it's easy as 1, 2, 3, because it basically is. It's only 3 simple steps to do. What you will need to do if you want to fiddle around with cloud PCs of Frontline, just add your license to the tenant. Then you'll create a group, add some Frontline users to it, and then continue on with a provisioning policy. And that's where all the magic happens. Well, if you created a provisioning policy for enterprise cloud PCs before, then most of it will be familiar. But I thought it was a good idea to show you what happens in a provisioning policy for Frontline specifically. So there are basically 5 steps. In the first step, just in general information, you can give it a name, you can give it an optional description. As you can see, here is where you choose the license type. Instead of enterprise, just check the box for Frontline. Then some other details, for instance, the join type, the network, geography, and if you want to use Microsoft Entra single sign-on or not. Basically, for this demo, the easiest way works good for me, so I just kept it at the defaults here. And then continue on to the second step of the process, is the image. Of course, you can choose between a gallery image, which is prepared by Microsoft. They have the operating system optimizations in it. Microsoft Teams is already optimized. In this case, I really wanted to say it's the latest and greatest, but then again, a new build came out for Windows 11. So screenshot still has the 22H2, and it also contains the Microsoft 365 apps, which works great. Should you have a custom image, which is also supported, this is a step where you can actually change it to the custom image if you already created it and uploaded it. Continuing on to the third step here is the Windows settings. There you can choose the language and region. I just chose to go with English. There's apply device name template option here, which I really like to use, especially if you're going to mix and match enterprise and frontline cloud PCs. Looking at the name of a cloud PC is really easy to differentiate if you're working with an enterprise cloud PC or a frontline cloud PC. So what I did here is I added a prefix of FLW, frontline worker, added a couple of characters for the username, some random things. Yeah, so really awesome that you can combine that here. Additional services is really cool. Implies that you can have multiple services that you can select here, but basically nowadays you can choose if you want to enable or enroll the cloud PCs into Windows Auto Patch. If you enabled and set it up for your tenant. In my demo environment, I didn't, so I just left it out in this screenshot. And then I continued on with the assignment. And this might be a pretty small screenshot, so apologies for that. I'll try to walk you through as good as possible. What happens here is there's a small button at the top which says Add Groups. This is where you basically search for the group that you created and added the users to earlier. Then when you've done that, there's a Select One link here. Just click the link, and there's a blade on the right-hand side that will appear. And there's a couple of cool things going on here. Because, of course, it's a demo environment. I only have 2 licenses available, but I can actually see a couple of things going on here. It tells me the name of the group, no surprise there. the total members of the group, which is 3. I have 3 members in the group, and I can select the licenses that are available. It also tells me I have 6 cloud PCs available. So that means 2 licenses. 2 licenses means 6 cloud PCs and 2 connections. So in this scenario, even though I have 3 members, only 2 can connect at the same time, and I know that I have enough cloud PCs to give out to the users. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And then the last step, basically what you'll do here is take a second to my awesome work, grab a cup of coffee, review all the cool things that you've done. And yeah, if you're happy with it, just create the provisioning policy and watch the magic happen. And where can you see that magic happening? Well, as you might know, Windows 365 servers will actually come to life now. And in the Windows 365 blade, in the All Cloud PCs tab, you can actually see that the cloud PCs are being created or provisioned. If you can't see them, chances are that there's a filter active on the screen. Remove the filter and you can actually see when the cloud PCs are being provisioned. So when do you know if this process actually completes? Well, good question. What happens if the process is completed? You'll actually see device name because it's being created at that point, at that stage, and the cloud PCs will be turned off. And that's, of course, the difference compared to enterprise. So hope that kind of makes sense. And that's all there is to it to create a basic Frontline Cloud PC. Once it's done, users can actually start to sign in and start to use the Cloud PC. But I wouldn't advise to dish it out to the users already. I would say there are still a couple of things that you need to do to fine-tune them so the users can work on it like they should. Frontline Cloud PCs are managed by Intune. And one of the things that Microsoft actually advises to do is to configure a time limit for idle sessions. And you can do that by creating a configuration policy in Intune. Why is that? When users sign out, basically what will happen is the user will sign out, the Cloud PC will turn off, and the license will be made available for other users to use. But what would happen if they go to the power options and choose the disconnect option, or even worse, when they go to the connection bar and hit the cross there, they will actually disconnect, which will leave an active session, but in a disconnected state. So that can actually increase the number of licenses that are consumed, even though the users are not working on the Cloud PC. So if you go to the policy here, what you can do is from the settings catalog, search for something like session time limits, add these values in, and you can configure some values that work for your business case for your company. So what I did here is I defined a value for to end a disconnected session and an idle session. Well, first disconnected, of course, I basically set it 10 minutes. And idle session, when users have the session open, but it's still, they aren't working with it, you can go for 15 minutes or longer period. And that will help you to make sure that these licenses will be made available again for other users. Once that's done, of course, think about updates. Updates still might be needed to install the necessary apps. Think about the Windows 365 security baseline. Think about some operating system and Teams optimizations, specifically if you're using a custom image. If your users work with videos, for instance, on YouTube or something like that, I would advise to give multimedia redirection a go, because that drastically improves the experience there. And yeah, if you're working with Intune, Frontline Cloud PCs, one of the things that is really cool to do is to work with filters. For instance, in this example, to create a policy which has the session time limits, you can make sure that it only applies to Frontline Cloud PCs by using a filter. And the filter would look like something like device.model contains Frontline. And as you can see in the example, I actually have that filter applied here. So I assigned this policy to all the devices and filtered it specifically to the Frontline Cloud PCs. And if you wonder, I never worked with filters, how does that work? Well, in this screenshot, you can actually see in my tenant admin, I went to the filters menu item and I created a filter. And all you need to do here is select the property model, operator contains, and value could be Frontline. Again, if you want to be more granular, it's possible. You can actually use the full name of the SKU to be very granular if you should like. And if you're like me and you want to preview if the right cloud PCs are targeted, you can always hit the preview button in the left side of the screen here, and it'll give you an overview of all the cloud PCs or devices that are targeted by this filter. So I hope that kind of makes sense for this. All right, let's continue on with some reporting options. The first existing reporting options that are nice to talk about are reports that you can actually use for enterprise cloud PCs as well. And the first one is called a connection quality preview. And basically, it's meant to help admins when they get a call from users telling you, hey, my cloud PC is really slow. I have a poor experience. Can you help me? So a couple of things could be going on. But if the cloud PC actually is working as it should, it's not having a poor experience or a high resource usage or something like that. You can actually view this report and get all kinds of nice details about the connection from the endpoint that the user is using to connect to the cloud PC. For instance, if a user's working at home and they have a poor Wi-Fi connection or something like that, you can actually determine that if they have like a high round trip time or something like that. The higher the value for the round trip times, the worse the user experience is going to be. So what does that look like? I added just a quick screenshot here. You can see the cloud PCs, which type cloud PC it is, because of the naming template, the round trip times, and yeah, basically the values that are shown here are pretty good, so I wouldn't expect any issues here. The second report that is worth noting is called the Cloud PC Utilization, and this will basically help you determine if users are actually using the Cloud PC or not, if they aren't using the Cloud PC. So here's a screenshot again. Here you can see if users are using it a lot, or if they're only using it sometimes, or not at all. Of course, this is a demo environment, so nothing much going on in this report, but it's I think it's good to let you know what it looks like. And there are some new reporting options as well, and these are specifically for Windows 365 Frontline only. And yeah, the first one is called Connected Frontline Cloud PCs, still in preview. And you can use this report to get a lot of detailed information on your whole Frontline environment. The way this works is, once you hit this View Report button, you'll actually see all the different licenses that are made available in your tenant. Then you can go a level deeper, just click on the license type that you have, and then you get to see all the nice little details in the last 28 days. So what can you see here? The number of licenses that are available, if a license limit is being hit, so the concurrency limit is being hit, and this report will definitely help you with some trend analysis, which is going on. Again, just 2 licenses here, so limits are pretty well fast. I reach them pretty fast. So yeah, another one report that is available for us to use is a Cloud PC that isn't available, and this will help you to see if a Cloud PC is having issues at this moment. So for instance, a user isn't able to sign into the Cloud PC, and they can give you a call. You can actually go to Intune, go to the Cloud, to the All Devices node, and then hit the View Report button, and you get all kinds of good information about the host health, are there any connection errors, the last event, and the issues, details on the issue that occurred. The only downside here is that this report will only show you information of the last 15 minutes. So what would happen if a user would give you a call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they say, well, I wasn't able to sign in an hour ago, but I went to lunch in the meantime. I can actually sign in at this moment, but I thought it was good to let you know. This report probably won't help you anymore because all the data is already removed from this report. I didn't have any issues going on while creating this presentation, so there's not any data in this report. But again, you can see it contains a device name, the username who signed in, the host health, and all those good stuff that will actually help you in real world scenarios. So I hope that makes sense, all these reporting options. And yeah, let's continue on with the use cases. When I was thinking about the slide and putting it together, I thought, well, you can actually use a Frontline Cloud PCs in every scenario when only a subset of your users sign into the Cloud PC at the same time. And what you can see, and kind of makes sense, is when your users work on a rotation schedule, when they work across time zones or part-time, or even if they work on different local endpoints, it doesn't really matter. Those could be indications that you should think about using Windows 365 Frontline instead of Enterprise. And that can also translate into possible sectors, for instance, healthcare, where people work on rotation schedule, even part-time. It could be also in the education or financial sectors, IT, for instance, call centers, etc. It doesn't really matter because the way that people are working is more important than the sectors that they are actually working in. Yeah, if you're thinking about migrating from an existing environment, for instance, you have still a local remote desktop services infrastructure, or got Citrix environment or VMware environment, perhaps you're working on physical machines, but you want to move to a virtualized environment. Yeah, and you're thinking about using cloud PCs, again, it might be a good idea to think about a Frontline Cloud PC instead of Enterprise Cloud PC as well. So kind of hope that makes sense. And yeah, just a quick update where we are in the presentation. As I mentioned, there are a lot of slides, and I promise there are still a couple of demos coming up. I hope you like it so far, and let's continue with the Windows 365 boot and see how it works with Windows 365 Frontline. For those of you who aren't familiar with Windows 365 boot, I think it's a really awesome feature for Windows 365. Basically, what will happen here is if you've enrolled a physical, and it could be a virtual endpoint as well, but if you enroll it to Intune, you can actually transform it into a very secure kiosk. And what I mean by that is, when you deploy it as a boot device, users will only be able to sign into it, and they will be redirected to the Cloud PC immediately. Even admins can't sign into the endpoint locally. There are a couple of things that you can do. For instance, turn it off. You can see the power button. You can change the region layout for the keyboard. If the system has a Wi-Fi connection, you can actually configure it from this screen as well. And then the only thing you can do is to sign into the Cloud PC directly. It's already supported for Enterprise, and currently it also is supported for Frontline. So it's a really cool thing to combine with each other. Why is it secure? Because if you can't sign in locally, then no data is stored locally as well. So I really love this feature. And the way you would configure it, especially combining it with Frontline, well, the first step would be to configure Windows 365 Frontline. And we already did that, so we can continue to the next step, and that is to set up Windows 365 boot. And the way to do so is go to the Intune Admin Center, go to the Windows 365 blade, and you'll find a Windows 365 boot button there. It's actually the start of a guide. Basically a wizard. It's almost next finished. There are a couple of things that you can fill out for yourself, specifically for the company or for your own company there. And yeah, once you're done, you can actually see what resources are created by this guide. So it's a really easy way to get your Windows 365 boot environment set up. Really love the way that Microsoft did this. And yeah, once you did that, all resources are created and the assignment has been completed successfully. What would be the next step? Of course, the endpoint still needs to be configured as a Windows 365 boot device, and you could actually do that through Windows Autopilot, because one of the resources that is being created by this boot guide is the Autopilot profile. So once you deployed it as a boot device, it's already good to go. Users can actually start to sign in and work on the Cloud PC from there. Yeah, and I promised there are a couple of demos coming up. I created just a couple of GIF files, so I won't be able to pause them, so I'll just freestyle along with them. As you can see, the Cloud PC identifies as a Frontline Cloud PC there. It will give you a pop-up that data will be lost if you haven't signed out correctly, which is, of course, very logical, especially if you created a policy that will have some session time limits configured. And then what you'll get as an end user, you can see that you'll be connected to the Cloud PC, and you can start to perform your work. Once you're done, it's the end of the day, you can sign out. And of course, what you like to do is you use to go to the Start menu and hit the Sign Out button, because that is the best way to go. But they do have the option to go to the power options and disconnect, or even worse, from the connection bar, hit the cross button there. And this will actually put the Cloud PC in a disconnected state. And that actually is all there is to it. If you want to use the Windows 365 app to connect to a Frontline Cloud PC. And in the second demo, I know you guys are all going to hate me for this one. So what I did here is I thought it was a good idea to show you what the end user experience looks like when the user signs in from a Windows 365 boot endpoint. So what happened here is the user actually signed in using his credentials or her credentials. You can see that they're accepted and will be redirected to the Cloud PC. We get a nice little animation, and we know that everything is going, is connecting and being set up. But you are going to hate me for this one. And the reason is I wanted to show you the real-time experience. So I didn't edit this video. It's the time that it takes to actually connect to your Cloud PC can take up quite some time. And of course, you said, wait a minute, it was pretty fast in the previous demo. Yeah, that's because I edited and I took a lot of these stills out there, and I really shortened the video there. This is the real life example, because what happens when you actually connect to your Frontline Cloud PC? Of course, the user has to authenticate. We've been through that process. And then the Windows 365 service will actually come to life, and they'll check, is there a license available? Well, in this case, there is. Okay, so that's being met. Then the service will check if there's a Frontline Cloud PC available or it exists for this user. And that's also the case. And then the service will actually power it on for you. But you'll have to wait until Windows is up and running, all the services are up and running, and the Cloud PC will accept a new connection. And this actually takes up quite some time. So if everyone was thinking, I really would like a cup of coffee, this would actually be the moment to grab one. And there's actually a method to this madness, because I really wanted to show you how long it takes and what's coming up. As you can see, Windows is still signing in, and eventually the user will get his or her desktop and they can start to work on the Windows 365 Cloud PC. So why was it important to show you the login experience and that it does take quite up some time? Because it's a real cool transition to what's coming up in the future. And of course, I'm a huge fan of this Windows 365 user group, but I'm also a huge fan of the Windows in the Cloud episodes that you can see on YouTube. It's hosted by Christian Brinkhoff, and one of the latest editions, he had a couple of members of the Windows 365 product team as a guest on the show. And they told him that they're working on an algorithm. How cool would it be if the Windows 365 service would actually know, based on the history, that, for instance, I would be signing into my Cloud PC, Frontline Cloud PC, every Thursday at 12 o'clock. How cool would it be if that Cloud PC was actually up and running? Because that would drastically improve the user experience in signing in. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I've heard that the Windows 365 product team is working on. And yeah, if there's anything else coming up, of course, I'll keep my eyes and ears open for that as well. I also promised you that I would add some useful links to it. I added some communities in this slide as well, some blogs with people who are working with Windows 365 a lot. And there are many more out there, so apologies if I had to leave a couple of people out there. I include some useful Microsoft documentation as well. And if you're interested in Windows 365 or you want to learn all about it, I would really recommend the Mastering Windows 365 book, because it contains all the good stuff about everything Windows 365 that you would like to know. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. And I would really like to thank everyone for your attention. And yeah, I'll leave you in the good hands of my friend Sune.
Really awesome session, Dominic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think there is time for, if someone has a question or anything, feel free to pop it in the chat or show yourself if you're able to, and speak up. Or if there's not anyone, then
I think there's a hand raised there.
There is
really?
a hand.
Bring it, Marcel.
Might be a mistake.
It
Sure.
sure is. It sure is. Sorry for that.
Oh, no worries.
No worries, no worries. If there are any
All right.
questions, don't hesitate to contact me through my socials or something like that. I'll gladly be answer your questions later on.
Cool. Thanks, Dominic. And Sune, take it away.
Thank you, Morten. And before I begin, I just need to mention that I have a sore throat today, so sorry if I'm coughing or anything like that. So, yeah. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep,
Yes.
I can see it.
Perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah, hi and welcome to my Windows 365 features deep dive session. This is actually my first session in our Windows 365 community. And I've really looked forward to presenting some of the new cool features to you, even though Morten and Dominic stole a few of my original topics. Nah, that's all right, mates, because I've prepared some other cool topics for you instead. And my mission with this session is to inspire you to explore the many new features of Windows 365. So, who am I? My name is Sune, and I'm based in Denmark with my lovely wife and our 2 sons. I work as a consultant at a small company called Minecore. I have over 19 years of experience in the IT industry and spent at least a decade specializing in client management via Microsoft Configuration Manager and Intune. My work areas are cloud transitioning, client management, Windows 365, and pretty much everything else within Microsoft Intune. I also do some work in Azure, Azure Virtual Desktop, Log Analytics, and of course, Azure Active Directory. Damn it, I did it again. I mean Microsoft Entra ID, right? Like Morten and Dominic, I'm a Windows 365 MVP and an official contributor in the modern endpoint management community on LinkedIn and in the Windows 365 community. The agenda for this session is that I will start with the concept of Windows 365 switch. Next, we will dive into the concept of point-in-time restore and Cloud PC reset. I will show you how to share Cloud PC restore points to an Azure storage account. Next, I will show you how to move Cloud PCs to another region. I will finish this session by showing you how to protect sensitive information on our Cloud PCs. And hopefully, you'll leave this session today with some knowledge about the many new features of Windows 365 and how it might benefit your business. Questions. I love questions. And normally, I would like you to ask questions along the way. but since we are on a very tight schedule for this session, let's save the questions until the end of my session. However, you're welcome to ask questions in the chat, where Morten and Ola and Dominic will do their best to answer them or follow up on them during the Q&A. Demo time. I love this picture. It makes me laugh. Okay, so sorry. This session will contain many demos because I like to demo stuff rather than talk you through a PowerPoint slide help. Yeah, sorry, Dominic. I couldn't help myself. No, you did awesome, Dominic. Out of respect of the limited time we have available for this session, the demos have been pre-recorded because many of the operational tasks that I will perform take time to complete. Let's get started. The concept of Windows 365 Switch. Windows 365 Switch allows users to easily move between the local desktop and one of the cloud PCs from within Windows 11 via the task view, though there are some prerequisites and requirements to be aware of. First of all, it must be a Windows 11 based device. The physical device and the cloud PC must be on the latest version of Windows 11. We must install the latest version of the Windows 365 app. And of course, we need Windows 365 Cloud PC licenses. As you will see in my demo in just a moment, there's not much to it configuration-wise. But in these times when businesses want to do more with less, I can really see this as an ideal solution for bring your own device scenario, when you connect from your personal owned Windows device to a secure corporate owned cloud PC. In my first demo, I will go through the configuration of Windows 365 Switch and show you the end user login experience. So the first thing we need to do is to verify that the device is on the latest version of Windows 11. Next, we'll go to the Microsoft Store and install the latest version of the Windows 365 app. This can, of course, also be delivered from Intune. Once installed, we wait, and we wait, and we wait some more. It took approximately 6 hours before the Switch functionality became available on my device. After a few hours, we can go ahead and run the Windows 365 app. We'll go quickly through the first run experience. Let's verify that the version meets the minimum requirements. I've seen a couple of times that the cloud PC does not show in the task view, but we can click on the ellipses, the 3 dots, and manually add it. Just like that. Now let's connect to my Windows 365 Cloud PC. As you can see in just a moment, it looks very similar to the Windows 365 boot login experience that Dominic just demonstrated in his session. We can now easily move between our local desktop and the Windows 365 Cloud PC. If we disconnect, we will return to the local desktop. Next up is point-in-time restore and Windows 365 Cloud PC reset. Point-in-time restore lets an IT admin and users, if allowed, restore Windows 365 Cloud PCs to the exact state it was at an earlier point in time. There are 3 different ways to set restore points: short-term, long-term, and on-demand. Let me explain. Short-term restore points are configurable, and you can set the frequency of the restore point to either every 4, 6, 12, 16, and 24 hours. By default, each cloud PC in the assigned group will have 10 short-term restore points saved at the frequency you define in the user settings from the Windows 365 page in Microsoft Intune. For example, if you chose a 24 hours frequency, each assigned Cloud PC has one restore point per day, and you can go 10 days back in time. In addition to the configurable short-term restore points, we also have 4 non-configurable long-term restore points. These long-term restore points are saved every 7 days. Lastly, we have the on-demand manual restore point option that lets IT admins create a restore point whenever they want for a single Cloud PC or multiple Cloud PCs using the remote actions available in Microsoft Intune. However, each Cloud PC can have only one manual restore point at a time. Do restore point expire? Yes, or sort of. For short and long-term restore points, as time passes and new restore points is added, the oldest restore point is overridden. On-demand manual restore points expires after approximately 28 days, unless you create another manual restore point which will override the existing restore point, because as mentioned earlier, each Cloud PC can have only one manual restore point at a time. What risks does a point-in-time restore for Windows 365 Cloud PC pose? Well, basically the same risk as any physical Windows PC when performing a full disk restore. For example, all changes you made to the Cloud PC between the saved restore point and when the restore is started will be lost. This includes all personal files, installed application downloads, and other changes. However, external personal data stored in cloud services like OneDrive won't be lost. Now, let's imagine that the point-in-time restore cannot save the day, or that a user wants a clean Cloud PC. Then we have the option to reset Cloud PCs. Resetting, or also called reprovisioning, Windows 365 Cloud PCs can be performed by IT admins or the users themselves if they are allowed to do so. IT admins can allow users to reprovision their own Cloud PCs via the user settings policy from the Windows 365 page in Microsoft Intune. However, there are a few things to be aware of before resetting Cloud PCs. Resetting a Cloud PC will wipe and reprovision the Cloud PC, meaning reinstalling Windows. Your personal files, installed application, and downloads will be lost. However, external personal data stored in cloud services like OneDrive won't be lost. All changes you made to the Cloud PC settings will be lost. Sorry. In my next demo, I will go through the point-in-time restore feature and show you how to reprovision a Windows 365 Cloud PC. We'll start by creating an Azure AD group for our users whom we want to allow to initiate a restore and a reset of the Cloud PC. Then we will select devices and Windows 365 under provisioning to create a user settings policy. We will give the policy a name and allow the user to initiate a restore and a reset of the Cloud PC. As mentioned earlier, this is also where we can change the frequency of the point-in-time restore service. Let's select 24 hours. Next, we will select my group to be assigned to this policy. There we have it. Select, next. Review that everything is correct and click Create. I will cancel this because I will show you my current policy. The only difference here is that my current policy also makes the user a local admin of the Cloud PC. Let's create a manual restore point on my Cloud PC. To do that, we'll select devices and Windows on the by platform. I'll select my Cloud PC from the device overview. I'll scroll down and select restore points. And then I will click create restore point and choose yes. Be aware that it may take up to an hour to complete. Now we can also do this for multiple Cloud PCs via remote actions. To do that, we will go back to the device overview. And from here, we will select bulk device actions. Select Windows as the OS, Cloud PC as the device type, and choose Create Cloud PC Manual Restore Point on the device action. Select the Cloud PCs where you want to create the manual restore point. Click Select and Next. Review that everything is correct and click Create. I will cancel this since we have already created a manual restore point on my Cloud PC. A few moments later, I've now switched over to my test device, where I will verify that I can initiate a restore of my Cloud PC from the Windows 365 app by clicking on the ellipses, the three dots. Before we do so, let's change something on my Cloud PC. We could install Adobe Reader and change my original settings. While Adobe Reader is installing or downloading and installing, we can go in and do some changes to my original settings on this Cloud PC. Let's remove my preferred language, Danish, and let's make Ola happy and change the country to Sweden. And there we have Sweden. Awesome. Let's go back and see if the Adobe Reader is speeded up this process. It took some time to complete. 3, 2, 1, done, or almost. Yeah, done. Nice. Now let's disconnect and restore my Cloud PC from the Windows 365 app. We will perform the restore by clicking on the ellipses, once again, the three dots, and choosing restore. Select yes, I want to restore this Cloud PC, then choose the manual restore point and click restore. In my lab, it took approximately 15 minutes to restore my Cloud PC. You will see this message while the Cloud PC is being restored. Let me show you how to monitor the restore status from within Microsoft Intune. Okay, we are back in Microsoft Intune, and we will now select devices. And Windows 365 under provisioning. And choose the All Cloud PCs tab. The restoration is complete when the status changed to provisioned. Just like with the creation of manual restore points, we can also use remote actions to restore multiple Cloud PCs. To do that, we'll go back to the device overview and select bulk device actions. From here, we will select Windows as the OS type, or OS again. Cloud PC as the device type, and choose Restore on the device action. Specify a date and time and select a restore point time range. Select the Cloud PCs you want to restore. Review that everything is correct and click Create. I will cancel this since we've already started the restoration of my Cloud PC. Now let's switch back to my test device, connect to my Cloud PC, and verify that our changes are gone. The first thing we will notice is that the Cloud PC has been restored. Let's verify that the Adobe Reader and our original changes are gone. Let's see if the Adobe Reader is still among our installed applications. Well, it seems to be gone. That's perfect. Now let's check my regional settings. Well, it did revert my region back to Denmark, but it did not restore my language preferences. Why is that? Well, that's because the language preferences in my lab are synchronized by enterprise state roaming. So you'll have to manually add them back. Let's disconnect to prepare for my next demo. Next, we'll look at how to reset our Cloud PCs. And while still on my test device, let's verify that I can initiate a reset of my Cloud PC from the Windows 365 app, which I configured in the user settings policy earlier. But this time, I will not initiate the action from the Windows 365 app. So let's jump back to Microsoft Intune. First, we'll select Devices and Windows under by platform. And then I will select my Cloud PC from the device overview. From the overview of this Cloud PC, we will select Reprovision and choose Yes. Be aware that this action will wipe and reprovision my Cloud PC, which usually take approximately 30 minutes to complete. Just like with the manual restore point creation, the Cloud PC restoration, we can also use remote actions to reset multiple Cloud PCs. Select Windows as OS, Cloud PC as the device type, and choose Reprovision under device action. Select the Cloud PCs you want to reset. And review that everything is correct and click Create. I'll cancel this since we've already initiated a reset of my Cloud PC. IT admins can monitor the reprovisioning of Cloud PCs from the All Cloud PC tab on the Windows 365 page. The reprovisioning is complete when the status changes to provisioned. Share Cloud PC restore points to an Azure Storage account. Did you know that IT admins can share Cloud PC restore points to an Azure Storage account to have a historical view of a Cloud PC for e-discovery? Other use cases could be to make a copy of the Cloud PC doing an offboarding process, or create a VHD file that can be mounted to a physical device. Before I dive into my next demo, I would like to highlight that the Cloud PC on-demand restore point feature we touched on earlier in this session, and the ability to share Cloud PC restore points to an Azure Storage account became generally available in the service release 2305. In my next demo, I will create an Azure Storage account for Windows 365 Cloud PC restore points and show you how these restore points can be shared to a Azure Storage account. We'll start by creating an Azure Storage account for my Windows 365 Cloud PC restore points. So from the Azure portal, we'll select storage accounts to create a new storage account. Before I continue, I want to highlight that I will follow the configuration described by Microsoft. You can, of course, adapt and configure this per your needs. With that said, select subscription and a resource group. Define a unique storage account name and select a region. Select premium and page blobs. Select locally redundant storage under redundancy. Ensure that the minimum TLS version is set to version 1.2 and network access is set to enable public access from all networks. Then click Review and Create. We will finish by assigning Windows 365 as storage account contributor under access control on the newly created storage account. Apparently, it now also needs to be I think it was a storage blob data account contributor something. Yeah, it was announced yesterday. So we will choose Add Role Assignment. Search and select storage account contributor role. Select members and search for Windows 365. Then click Next and Review and Assign. Let's verify that Windows 365 has been assigned the storage account contributor role. Next, we'll go to Microsoft Intune to take a look at how to share restore points to our Azure storage account. To share restore points to an Azure storage account, we will select Devices and Windows under by platform. I'll select my Cloud PC from the device overview. I will scroll down and select Restore Points. Click on the ellipsis next to the restore point and choose Share. Select the subscription and our Azure storage account and click Share. Now we can also do this for multiple cloud PCs via remote actions. To do that, we will go back to the device overview and select bulk device actions. Once again, select Windows as OS, Cloud PC as the device type, and choose Share Cloud PC Restore Point to Storage under the device action. Specify a date. Select a restore point time range, the subscription, and the storage account. Sorry. Select the Cloud PC whose restore point you want to save to an Azure storage account. Click Next. Review that everything is correct and click Create. Let's go back to our Azure storage account to verify that we have successfully stored our restore points. Okay, we are back in the Azure portal and we will now select storage accounts. Select the storage account we named Windows 365 Cloud PC Restore Points Demo and select Containers. as expected, we can verify that 4 folders with one VHD file in each folder were created. Now, let me show you something pretty cool here that we can do with these VHD files. But first, we'll have to download one of them, which can take a couple of minutes to complete. They are, my restore points here are 128 gigs. Okay, the file has been downloaded and moved to my folder containing other virtual hard disks. And what I want to show you is that we can actually take this Cloud PC restore point and attach it to a virtual machine in my Hyper-V manager and boot to it from my physical device. But first, we must convert the VHD file to VHDX format for this to work. Let's use PowerShell to convert the VHD file to a VHDX file. I speeded up this process because that took quite some time to complete. Open Hyper-V Manager to create a new virtual machine. Let's give it a name. I will just call it by its Cloud PC name. Select generation 2. Leave the amount of memory as is. Select a connection. And select use an existing virtual hard disk. And choose our Cloud PC restore point VHDX file. Click Next and review the summary page before clicking Finish. Right-click on the new virtual machine and choose Connect. And let's start it to see what happens. This will just take a couple of seconds. Well, there we have the logon screen. So far, so good. Let's sign into it and verify that it is actually my Cloud PC and not something that I just made up to impress you guys. One eternity later. And we can finally verify that my Cloud PC is running locally as a virtual machine on my physical device. That's pretty cool, huh? Let's move on. And speaking of move Cloud PCs to another region. IT admins can move existing Cloud PCs from the current Azure region to a new one by modifying a provisioning policy from within Microsoft Intune. There are a few things that I would like to highlight before moving Cloud PCs to another region. Until recently, we had to reprovision existing Cloud PCs if we changed the region of the Microsoft hosted network or the Azure network connection in our provisioning policies. Only new Cloud PCs would honor these changes. But with the service release 2305, it is now possible to move Cloud PCs to another region without performing a reprovisioning of the Cloud PC. And yes, you can change the network type from Microsoft hosted network to an Azure network connection or vice versa. Moving Cloud PCs to another region involves a shutdown, which may take several hours. For this reason, it is recommended to perform the move of Cloud PCs outside working hours to ensure minimal user impact. In my next demo, I will show you how to move Cloud PCs to another region without performing a reprovisioning of the Cloud PCs. So first we will select device and Windows 365 under provisioning to change the region in one of my current provisioning policies. The overview page shows that my current region is set to Sweden Central, and I would like to change that to West Europe for all my cloud PCs. Sorry, hola. Nothing personal. Click Edit, and we will not change the name of this policy since we're still in the European Union. But I will change the region to West Europe from the region drop-down menu. Review that everything is correct and click Update. But be aware that this will not apply the changes to existing cloud PCs. So to apply these changes to existing cloud PCs, you will have to click on the button called Apply Region Changes to Existing Cloud PCs. What happens next in the backend involves backing up the cloud PCs before moving them to a new region. This backup, which may take some time, can begin even though the user is still signed in and active. After completing the backup, the cloud PC is shut down and moved to the new region, which may take several hours. The cloud PC is inaccessible during the move, and the end user will see this message during the move of the cloud PC. IT admins can monitor the move status from the All Cloud PC tab in or on the Windows 365 page. During the move, you will see the status stating that the cloud PC are moving to another region or network. The move is complete when the status changes to provisioned. And the end users can now sign in and continue from where they left off. Let's see how we can protect sensitive information on our cloud PCs. The screen capture protection and watermarking feature helps prevent sensitive information from being captured on Windows 365 cloud PCs and Azure Virtual Desktop session hosts. Though there are some prerequisites and requirements that we need to be aware of. The client must be a Windows 10 or 11 Enterprise. We must use a remote desktop client that supports screen capture protection and watermarking. If you configure watermarking for Azure Virtual Desktop, you must also configure the Azure Virtual Desktop Insights. Before diving into my final demo, I would like to emphasize that these two features complement each other very well and will help organizations prevent users from taking a screenshot of the session. If the user happens to take a picture with a physical camera, then IT admins can scan the watermark QR code and trace the session's connection ID by using Azure Virtual Desktop Insights or Log Analytics. However, as you will see in a moment, the watermark QR code is really intrusive and will probably annoy your end users. In my final demo, I will configure screen capture protection and watermarking and show you what it looks like on a cloud PC and how to trace the session's connection ID. We'll start by creating a device configuration profile for screen capture protection and watermarking. To create a device configuration profile, we will select devices and Windows under by platform, and then configuration profiles under Windows policies. Click Create Profile and choose Windows 10 and later, and the settings catalog. Then click Create. We'll give the profile a name. Click Add Settings, search for Azure Virtual Desktop in the settings picker. And then choose Enable Screen Capture Protection and Enable Watermarking. expand the administrative, that I could not pronounce. Expand the administrative templates, sorry about that, and enable both settings. Leave the default configuration as is, but you can of course configure this per your needs. I'll assign this policy to my Windows 365 Frontline Cloud PC by choosing Add All Devices and a filter for Frontline Cloud PCs. Review that everything is correct and click Create. Let's verify the configuration on a Frontline Cloud PC. A few moments later. I've now switched over to my test device from earlier, and I've signed into my Frontline Cloud PC to verify that the device configuration profile has been applied. The first thing we notice is the very intrusive QR codes mentioned earlier. Let's try to take a screenshot of the session with the snipping tool. As you can see, it's just a black window. Now it is difficult for me to show you that I can scan the QR code with my phone's camera. However, the connection ID from the QR code is the same as the activity ID on the session's connection information. Oh man, this should have been the part where I would show you how to trace the Cloud PC session. However, as of now, I haven't found a way to do so. And what is described on Microsoft Docs is only related to Azure Virtual Desktop. I don't know if it's a bug or if Microsoft doesn't have a solution yet. But let me show you how this is done on a Azure Virtual Desktop instead. From the Azure portal, we'll go to Azure Virtual Desktop and click Insights. And then choose the Connection Diagnostics tab. I will increase the time range to 7 days to have some more results. From the Connection Diagnostics tabs, we can find the session's connection ID. Another way is to use Log Analytics. So let's go to my Log Analytics workspace and select my resource group where the audit logs are collected. Now select logs and run this query to trace the session's connection ID. And there you have it. With these final words, we are at the end of my session. Thank you for attending.
Cool. Thank you so much, Sune. That was really nice.
There were a few mistakes, issues with pronouncing some things, but that's how it is.
No worries. I know the hill.
We laugh at it.
I'm a Dane myself, so
English is the best language in the world.
It was great. Well, we actually do have a lot of time here. I think we have about 20 minutes. So if there's anyone who has any questions or anything they want to share, now is the time. Just let us know, ask in the chat, or come forward with your camera and microphone if you dare. Anyone? Or else we'll just leave it at it as is. Cool. One important note is that we will be uploading this event here to our YouTube channel, so that will be done within the next couple of days. And if you would like to share it with some of your pals out there, it will be available here. So you can go in and view the user group event one more time, or give it to your friend that unfortunately couldn't make it. But I think that was it for us today. Thank you so much, Sune. Thank you so much, Dominic, and thank you, Ola, for setting up this meeting here. And
Thank you.
Yeah, and we hope to see you guys next time on our next event. And I think the next big thing that we actually do would be the Ignite wrap up. So yeah, all right. Thank you so much, everybody, and take care.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye bye.